Out here, and we do have a special guest who's just flown in from Florida to be with us, actually. So I don't think I need much introduction for Dwight Evans. Dwight was voted as the Red Sox all-time greatest right fielder. I know many of you have seen his exploits as a player, and so very happy to have him and his wife Susan come up and join us today. So we have another mic here we'll have to share here. But thanks so much, Dwight and Susan. And like I said, I know you just came back from Florida and back to cold New England, but we got a beautiful day here today. And I thought I'd try to help you get to know him a little bit on a personal front, as well as talking baseball here today. So one thing you might be surprised is how long have you guys, Susan? How long have you guys been married?
44 years in September.
Is that right? That's great. With all the stress of baseball and today's society, 44 years is tremendous. Oh, good. There we go. All right. Yep. Great. Well, Susan, keep with you there. I know people probably see the glamorous side of baseball, but behind the scenes, often there's a wife, and there's a lot of challenges that go with some of the glory. And could you share a little bit about some of the challenges as you were coming up as the wife of a famous baseball player?
No, switch mics.
He's away most of the time, and you have to do what you have to do. And we had sick children. We had 2 boys with a disease called neurofibromatosis, and our daughter, fortunately, didn't have anything. But what are you going to do? Quit? The good news is Christ is faithful, and He takes care of you, and He's always with you, and will guide you through whatever you need to do.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the Claw Sox for having us down here and putting this on for us. And the Providence Rescue Mission, I mean, thank you for having us here. Susan and I usually don't come back till the end of May, but when Walt asked us to come here, we were glad to be here, and it's a glorious day, a beautiful day, so it's great to be here.
Thank you, Dwight. Well, Dwight, you were in 2 World Series, one in 75 and 86. Could you care to share some of your memories from those series?
A lot of you weren't born in 75. So, Susan and I, we met at 15, got married at 18, and we're, again, going on 44 years. And Susan actually came up through the minor leagues with me, and never thought I'd make it to the major leagues. And came up in 1972 and into 72 and played on some great teams. We finally made the World Series in 1975. And, I was 23 years old, and I thought, wow, this team will be in about 5 or 10 of these in the next 15 years. This will be a lot of fun. I didn't play in another World Series until 1986, 11 years later. So they're to see what the Red Sox have done this year, or not only this year, but in past years, the last 10 years, I should say, to be world champions 3 times is and I'm part of the organization, so it's a lot of fun to see us finally win a world championship, and not only 1 but 3 of them in the last the last 9 years.
How about that a little more about 75 with Carlton Fisk and things. The great catch you made, and that must have been pretty exciting to be in one of the greatest World Series ever.
Are we working? There we go.
Thank you.
Being 23 years old, I'm on third base, and I don't know if any of you ever heard of Pete Rose. I'm on third base, running on the bases, and I stop at third base, and Pete's playing third base for the Cincinnati Reds, and he says to me, you know what? Called me Dewey, that's my nickname. He said, Dewey, this might be the greatest game I've ever played in. And me being 23 years old, I'm looking around, I'm going, wow. And I'm looking at the fans, I'm looking at the situations, and I'm going, I'm in something pretty special here. So I made a catch there in the 11th inning in the World Series, and Bernie Carbo hit a home run in the 8th inning that tied the game. It was 5-2. That was one of the biggest home runs I ever saw. And then Fisk hits a big home run in the bottom of the 11th to win it. So it was a great World Series. We lost the seventh game. We lost it 3-2. It was a tie ball game until the eighth inning, and we lost it. But you know, you don't remember the bridesmaid. You just don't. And so it's fun to see us finally overcome that the last 10 years.
Well, that's great. It really was one of the greatest World Series ever, so what a thrill to play on that at 23. Could you tell us a little more about your current role with the Red Sox?
I'm a consultant in player development. In fact, I just saw my boss inside the Paw Sox clubhouse, and Ben Crockett is my boss. And so what I do is they give me some of their top players in AA and AAA, which I mentor to, and I stay in touch with them. I'm able to watch them on TV. It's a website. It's called MILB. So I get all the minor league games. I get to see all these players that I'm watching on TV every night, and I switch back and forth from Portland to Pawtucket. And so when I meet with them, I've seen all their at-bats. I get to talk to them about their approach to the plate, and because I want them to make the next level, which is with the Red Sox. And that's what I really do with the Red Sox. We're trying to move these guys along and hopefully see them make to the major leagues, whether it's with the Red Sox or not. So it's all about building great quality players.
Oh, thanks, Dwight. Susan, I asked a little more about, you started to mention a little bit about your family with the behind the scenes. Could you expand a little more on some of the challenges your family went through, quietly going through when all we saw was the baseball playing?
Well, as I said, both our boys have a disease called neurofibromatosis. Our oldest had 40 major reconstructive surgeries and more things that have happened later on, coming down with cancer. And Dwight would come home from the road and carry our oldest to surgery, go to the ballpark, play a game, come back at night and see him in the hospital and go home and play a game. But he never wanted to use the children's disease as an excuse for having a bad day or a tough game. But we didn't talk about those things. The good thing was we always had a way to find strength to get through whatever we had to do. For God said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So you'd look and you'd think on the outside our life was perfect and everything was easy, but it really wasn't. But no matter what we do, you keep a smile on your face and one foot going in front of the other, and you can get through it, and you can take care of it. And they ended up great kids, learning disabilities, tough times in school. Dwight did a great job out on the field and never complained. More proud of him than I could ever say. He just kept doing it and did a great job. Very proud of him.
That's great. Yeah. Dwight, could you share a little bit? That must have been so hard for you to focus and going through all that. Maybe share some of your experiences with that.
You know, as I think back, and Susan brings a lot of things back, you know, our thoughts on raising children, and it's tough enough. It's tough enough if they don't have health issues. But I got to the point where, you know, I couldn't take anymore. And one thing that we had access to was baseball chapel. It started in the early 70s, and I wasn't raised in a church. I wasn't really baptized. I wasn't baptized. My parents, we had 5 siblings. My parents said to me, well, we want you to choose whatever you wanted to be and baptize, you know, whatever you believe in. And until I met Susan, I really didn't know about church. I didn't know about Christ. But long story short, I had been reading the Bible for about 4 years. And I finally read a verse, and you know, I usually can paraphrase it pretty good, but I didn't want to take that chance. So I was reading in Revelations 1981. I'm in Oakland. And I'm even reading Revelations 3:15 and 16. It says, I know thy works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I spit you out of my mouth. And that was kind of my walk at that time. I was lukewarm. I didn't want to be lukewarm. I didn't want to walk the fence. I wanted to be on one side or the other, and I wanted to be on God's side. So I accepted Christ, and that's what really saved our marriage and gave us an ability to walk taller, walk straighter, and not to use excuses off the field why I didn't produce on the field. Actually, God provided a way for me on the field that was kind of a free zone for me. I played 20 years in the major leagues. That's a long time. But after about